I'm going to, like, we'll change gears a little bit and lead into the next little idea about why we compete now. And I want to kind of segue there by just talking briefly about the experience I had with having time off. You've had time off as well.
I had time off as well.
Yeah,
Heaps.
yeah. We have mine was
3
5
years,
years,
yeah.
which was a long
I was
time.
about
And I was still on the mat every day, teaching all the time and coaching my students competing. And I honestly didn't think I was going to be coming back to competition at all. But it was about 5 years of time off, and about a year and a half of rehabbing back and all that sort of stuff. And I didn't think I'd be able to compete. And then my back started getting really good because I was doing my work with Andrew Locke. Shout out to Andrew Locke, best spine guy in the country.
Genius.
He's a genius. And I got to the point I couldn't play guard properly, that was my whole jam. So I was like, man, I can barely play guard in the gym. There's no fucking way I can do it in competition. Anyway, got to the point where I was a month out from the gathering, the Machado Nationals, and I was like, man, I can actually play guard now. Maybe another week rolled by. I'm like, fuck it, let's do it. But I made sure that I was really clear about when I got back into competition, the parameters by which I did it. So previously I was super, super stubborn about, just maybe stubborn's not the right. Yes, stubborn. But what I mean to say is really, really hard on myself. Got to do the opens, can't let anyone pass, all that sort of stuff. And my back wasn't great. And I was like, all right, I'm going to do my weight. Back's fine with my weight. I'm going to do the open. But if anyone starts to underpass me, I got to let them pass, even if it means I'm going to get my soul crushed. And what do you know, open division, someone starts underpassing me. And I had that moment where I'm like, I got to choose right now. Like, what do I have to do? What's more important, being able to train tomorrow? Or, and I was like, fuck it. Let the guy pass and see what happens. And one of the things that was allowed me to do that was being really clear about when I step back on the mat to compete, it's got to be for the right reasons. I've got to make sure I keep the preparation enjoyable. So I had to narrow the field down to, well, if I'm competing in too many things, I have to do preparation in too many things. That's going to make me tight and grumpy all the time. I'm not going to be enjoying it. So I'm like, I'm just going to do the gi international rules. That's it. I'm not going to do no gi, and I'm not going to do sub only. That also means that on comp days, I've only got one group of things, like my weight class in the gi, maybe the open. I've also got to make sure that I'm preparing intelligently, and that I'd never taken the time, and you guys know this when you're coaching, hear your name called out, run, get changed, walk on the mat. And I never took the time to actually get myself into the right spot. So I made sure I was really clear about that. I'm like, if I'm going to do this, I have to allow myself the opportunity to do it well. So there's all these things that were going on around it. The other thing that I was really clear with myself about going into it again was I have to use this process as a time to learn how to lose. Because I'd struggled with that in the past. That was one of the things that we talked about a lot. We just hated it, and it created so much angst. And I had to become much more focused on the process. It's, again, that old cliche. And really performance-orientated rather than result-orientated. And I still want to win. I still really, really want to win. But I really want to pay attention to the process that I'm going through and how well am I performing. And if something doesn't work the way that I want it to, what actually happens. So I started just looking at it like, I'm just collecting data all the time. This is something my students hear me say all the time. It's just data. Just going out there, trying to do everything I can as best I can. So I'm trying to set everything up to go the way I want it to as best as I can. And if it doesn't, what can I tweak? What can I do better? Or was there one major element that I just didn't do properly? And there's been a couple of times when I haven't done the things that I know help me succeed really well, that set things up to work out really well. And it hasn't gone that well. And I'm like, all right, I can't be lazy about those things. I've got to do those things. But now the process of competing, it's gone from something where, like we were talking about before, where you're just standing on the side of the mat going, fuck, can I just walk off? Will no one notice? Like those conversations to actually being excited about being there. And previously where nerves and fears and all that sort of stuff had come up, I'd just push them down and like suppress them and pretend they weren't there. And now I actually take it as an opportunity to come in contact with it. Yeah. So if the nerves are coming up, I'm like, oh, what's going on there? Oh, what's that about? I'm worried about losing in front of people. That's okay. Then I have the conversation about, it's all right. It's not going to change what. So I use it as an opportunity to come in contact with stuff instead of trying to pretend like it's not there. Because the more I pretend it's not there, the more I become fearful of it when it did come up. And you can get good at pretending it's not there in the smaller comps, but sooner or later you find a bigger comp and then it comes up again. And then you might deal with it at that level. So it's like, you get good at winning the VIX, and then you get good at winning the Nationals, then the Pan Packs, and then you go overseas and like it all starts again. So flipping it so it's okay for it to be there. In fact, I want to come in contact with it, and that changed it a lot. So then what I was getting out of it wasn't just about jiu-jitsu. So previously it was making me better at the sport, but it wasn't necessarily making me a better martial artist. So now I actually have this process that creates a lot of characterological development. And all this shit that we're talking about, it's not just jiu-jitsu, it's happening in everything that we do in life that has some sort of stress around it.
Yeah.
So to pretend that we're just talking about sports performance, it's a little bit narrow-minded.
Yeah.
So all these things that are going on here now, it's making me better at everything.
Yeah.
And it's not that I always win, and I've had a couple of matches that I haven't won. There was one
just
particular
two.
occasion. No. There was one. So there was a comp in Sydney, and I fucked up because I was a retard and I left my entry too late, and I missed out on the gi entry. I'm like, well, it's my own stupid fault. And the price you're going to pay is you're going to go in and do the no gi, which you didn't prepare for at all. And then I went out there and got footlocked really, really quickly. Yeah, and I was just, and I just kind of walked away going, well, yep, that's what you get for not preparing, and you should have put your entry in center. And I was okay, like, of course I want to win, but it was a really clear illustration of no preparation. Like, that's what's going to happen. And, you know, there's some other matches that I lost, but I actually performed really, really well. And they were really, really close and coming down to, like, advantages and decisions and stuff. And I was, of course, again, I want to win, but I was okay with it because the performance was good. Where, you know, if you go back to previous competing experience, I probably would have been just bitching and moaning and just been a miserable prick about it. Yeah. But I was like, you know what? All good. Like, that was, I dealt with some of the things that in past have been an issue.
Yeah.
So now it's what I get out of it's different because why I'm doing it is different. Now it's actually just about being able to get out there and, like, I just want to be able to compete for starters. I want to have the experience of being out there with my team because that is super enjoyable. So what you talked about at the start about type A and type B, previously it was type B, and now a lot of the time it's type A. Not all the time, but a lot of the time I actually enjoy the process, the moment while I'm into it. I like coming in contact with the nerves. I like coming in contact with the pressure. I like coming in contact with where everybody's looking at me, and I don't want to fail in front of them. Like, oh, this is exciting. Like, this is like, and even just talking about it now, I'm like, I'm jazzed. I'm like, give me competition. Let's go. Let's go. And we've got the
13th.
Yeah, we've got the quintet coming up, and like, as soon as I'm talking about this, I'm thinking about that. I'm like, now I also am much more willing to go out there and try a new game as well. Like, I'm gonna work some shit these guys haven't seen before. Whereas before I would have been real. The nerves would make me play tight and hold back, and a lot of the time I wouldn't open up my game until somebody scored on me, because it was almost like them doing something was offended me. Like, what, you think you can fucking win? Like, now I have to hustle, or it would get down to like the last minute and I'm behind. I'm like, well, shit, I actually got to win now, because the nerves would just make me.
I've seen you do many matches like that.